Alafia, everyone. How are you? Good to be here. Thank you for the beautiful introduction, and I didn't know the whole bio was going to be read, so that actually reduces some of what I was going to say in my introduction, so I have a little bit more time. I will start off by saying that this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and when I saw the theme of this conference today, it really warmed my heart, because sexual trauma is something that is real, is pervasive throughout the world, is pervasive in the United States, and it is something happening that actually violates our bodies as sacred space. I put this presentation together today because it is a result of my own work that I do in the field, combining spirituality and traditional psychotherapy in an effort to help people heal from those wounds. And I also, through my research, I see evidence of how these wounds go back thousands of years, depending on where you come from, especially if you come from a culture or gender or class of people who have a history of oppression and violence that was imposed upon you. So why traditional African religion? Why look to this tradition for opportunities of healing? Well, to start off, we know that through some stereotypes and prejudices against African religious traditions, that many people relegated it as irrelevant, something that was of low value, something that needed to be hidden in the shadows. And so with the onset of the New Age revolution and consciousness movement and spirituality, we find people all of a sudden saying, hey, indigenous is cool. And so with that onset of this new interest in indigenous religion, which has always been here, we find that more people now are coming out across cultures that are seeing the value in this. Malidoma Somé, the quote that I have up there, he said the following about indigenous. Being indigenous is to live like you remember your oneness with all that is and with everyone else. Being indigenous is to live like you remember your oneness with all that is and everyone else. And African tradition provides a way for that spirit of integration versus the spirit in the West that we've had, which is one of a divided self. We need embodied African indigenous spirituality, for starters, because many people suffer from their bodies due to Western thinking, religious conditioning, and traumas inflicted on the body, as I said before. Again, this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I point out statistics that every 15 seconds in the United States, someone is impacted by domestic violence. Every 2.5 minutes, a sexual assault occurs. 1 in 3 to 4 girls have been sexually abused. And new studies and research is showing that 1 in 6 boys have been sexually abused. And so with all of these injustices happening against the body, now more than ever is a critical time for us to access different ways of healing and different ways of coming alive and being and walking in the world. According to a paper from the Africa Regional Sexuality Resource Center, there was a professor named Oluboyega Alava, and he defined Yoruba culture as the aggregate ways of life of the Yoruba-speaking peoples of southwest Nigeria. And he says that this is a place that has a continuum beginning from subsistence, communal life, pre-literate and pre-colonial times to the capitalist, individualistic, free enterprise lives of the literate, colonial, post-colonial, and modern times. In other words, it is a continuum of the traditional and modern aspects of the Yoruba culture that provides a true picture of this concept. It is therefore a dynamic phenomenon. So from this dynamic phenomenon of the Yoruba culture, we have the Ifa tradition or the Ifa religion. Now I hear a lot of people argue and say Ifa is not a religion, it is a way of life. And so in this way of life, we have concepts in Ifa cosmology, one being that we must connect with our ancestors. To connect with our ancestors is a way of empowerment, it is remembering, it is healing. A second being that the Orishas are forces of the divine, angelic energy forms that we can tap. We can use these energies, connect with them to cultivate character and to discover our true gifts. The third is Ori, and to me this is the most important concept. Ori means the Godhead in Yoruba. It is also the divine spark of the Creator, individualizes each and every one of us sitting in this room. And the Ori concept, you can look at any tradition, it's there. The Atman, I'm drawing a blank in other correspondences, but the Ori is the most important aspect from the way that I practice. And so in order to gain an understanding of our aura, which is our body, we have to wake up our Ori. Because if we don't connect to our Ori, we will look in the mirror and see our beautiful bodies and start taking on a version of somebody else's truth. So, how does the Yoruba Ifa tradition and Christianity view the body and the spirit? I break these two down because, again, this is the United States. The country is founded on Christian principles. A lot of Christian hegemony going on. I don't personally like it. I was brought up Baptist, so I'm not down in Christianity. Interfaith seminary actually helped me heal some of the issues that I had with Christianity, and we have some beautiful Christian mysticism out there, but we need to get beyond that because unfortunately the proponents of what I would say the negative aspects of Christianity have used it to condemn, control, and oppress. All right, so, okay, actually, before I go into the divisions of spirit, let me just give you two quotes by two early Christian theologians to emphasize my point. First, we have good old Augustine, who wrote the book City of God. Any of you, I know we have some divinity students here, and some of the stuff that Augustine said about the body is problematic. I want to move to Paul, the Apostle Paul, St. Paul, and here are a couple quotes that ended up in the Christian Bible. The first being Romans chapter 6, verse 12. Paul states as follows: "Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in lust thereof." Meaning, in other words, do not let sin exercise dominion in your mortal bodies to make you obey your passions. So don't listen to your body. The second one, from Paul, Galatians chapter 6, verse 17, he wrote, "For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would." Meaning, what the body and the spirit want are opposed. So we have a divided self-concept in Christianity. And I can tell you, as working as a therapist healer, that is one of the hardest things to get over. You don't even have to be a Christian. If you have grown up with some of the socialization in this country, then you have to really work to get over that, to accept yourself as a whole sacred being. Now, tuning to the Yoruba Ifa divisions of spirit, this is something that was I've been studying with my teacher, Baba Ola, over the past 10 years or so. And I want to start at the top where we have Emi, which is spirit or breath. Okay, there's 5 divisions of spirit here. That is the place where you can say that everything is. Everything is one, highest level of existence. We drop down to the Okan, which is heart. Okay, that's unity. And when I spoke of Oris earlier, the level of Okan is where Oris start to individuate. We drop down to the realm of the mind, the Iye, and this is important, not the brain, but the realm of the mind. That's the filter in which we process, in which we see things. And that is the realm that really sends us the messages on how we interpret our bodies. Next level below that, the Ojiji, the shadow, aura. Some people say they can see your aura, they can tell if you're sick or not by what your aura projects. And then last we have the aura, the physical realm in the body, where we all sit today, inhabiting our divine sacred temples. Now, while these circles are separate, in actuality, it's a sacred spiral. So again, going back to Christianity, we have a divided self. Here, and I couldn't do a slide. I was trying to get crafty, but I just couldn't figure it out. But this is really a cone, a vortex, so to speak. So the Emi, the Okan, the Iye, the Ojiji, the Ara, it's all running into each other, affecting everything. And Ori dwells in all of those levels and spaces. Okay? You all with me so far?
Yes.
All right. Now, being a priestess of Oshun, it is important to me to use my spirituality to integrate. I used to be compartmentalized. I used to be a divided self. I'm speaking personally. My practice was behind closed doors. I don't want nobody to see. Okay? But then over the years, I've come out of the closet spiritually, so to speak, and I've actually, with that, I've had people gravitate towards me who want spiritual healing with traditional psychotherapy. And I found that these concepts actually can help people, and they are effective in helping people heal from negative sexuality experiences. I'm moving now to the chakra system very quickly. When you study different teachers in the Ifa tradition, people correspond orishas to different centers. This is my interpretation based on my research and how I work, but very quickly, if we start up at the top, if I can use the cursor over there, let me see, the top right there, the crown chakra, I correspond that with Obatala, the orisha of consciousness. Moving down to the third eye chakra, I correspond that with Agumila, the ability to discern, the ability to see, and the diviners in the room know what I'm talking about. Moving down to the throat chakra, Ella and Agumila, our ability to speak, our ability to speak truth, and Ella being the brother of Agumila, the unifier, expansive awareness. Dropping down into the heart, Ogun, connection with all of humanity. That's why I have him there. Solar plexus, Shango, the fire center. Moving down to the sacral chakra right here, Oshun and Yemaya. And then last, the root chakra, Eshu and Oduduwa. Who is of most importance to me is Oshun, obviously because I'm her daughter. Okay, so the sacral chakra, we have the water center. Okay, Oshun governs this area by helping us walk in the world knowing who we are through discovering our creative gifts. Through the sacral chakra, or the water center, we come to know ourselves. In quoting the author of Opening to Spirit, Carolyn Arewa Shola, or something like that, I could be messing up her name, that's it, thank you. She says that the second chakra has the matrilineal ability to heal the desperate parts of ourselves. And it's the emotional center of gravity where we can embellish, nourish, and experience wholeness. When this area is imbalanced, we experience disease, we experience physical ailments in our pelvic region where the womb, the testes, ovaries are. We dam things up, we have low self-worth, we close things in. Now, one thing in trauma that happens is that on an energetic level, the Ojiji or auras, when we have a shock to the body, energy leaks out. So sometimes people who can see, they see holes in the Ojiji. And so in order to have a sense of health, Ilera, that's the Yoruba word for health, we need to close that Ojiji up and heal. Ilera also means to triumph, or it has that concept of triumph. So the Ara, our bodies, must have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health for our self-actualization. Now, in terms of healing, when I moved to Oshun, we have various rituals that we can use for healing. One being the egg ritual that transcends across different African indigenous spiritual practices. I invoke Oshun when I do that. We have energizing water to heal. Edbati won felelo milo woki ifo. Awoti won felelo milo woki ifaya. Then we have emotional freedom technique, tapping on meridian points on the body to remove stuck energy, divination, and then lastly, spiritual counseling with a trained sexual trauma therapist. Divination is important because that can get us to the root of what is causing someone to be disconnected with our bodies. Divination also helps us point to a path of healing that is suitable for that specific client. Lastly, reflections, and I know I'm moving very fast here, is that This is a quote that I heard when I actually attended a conference about a year and a half ago. It says, to control a people sexually is to control them totally. Okay, and people, as I said earlier, with histories of enslavement and oppression must learn how to be free. We have to free the enslavement of our minds. The truth is the same everywhere, and only the lie is different. Okay? I'll say it again. The truth is the same everywhere, only the lie is different. And I close with Kelly Brown Douglas, who had said this quote about African spirituality and Christianity. African American religious scholar and professor. She says, to hold the body and soul together, recognizing the intrinsic crossroad issue nature of being human actually maintains the integrity of the Black religious tradition itself. This is a tradition rooted in an African religious heritage in which all life is considered sacred, including the body and sexuality. So for our healing, for our unification, for us to rise up, let us look to the wisdom of Mother Africa. Ashe.